Good afternoon. We're continuing with the laws of Pesach. We're on Siman Taf Ayin Beis in the Mishnah Berurah, in the Shulchan Aruch, which is 472, and we're on Sif Yud, number 10. So we say, Misha eno shaisa yayin mipnei shemaziko osono. Someone who doesn't drink wine because it bothers him or he hates it, right? Well, there's a mitzvah to drink 4 cups of wine on the Seder. So what happens if someone doesn't like wine or it bothers him? He has to push himself to drink it to fulfill the mitzvah of the 4 cups. Says the Mishnah Berurah, what does it mean that it bothers him or it hurts him? It pains him to drink. It bothers him. He'll get a headache. So even if you get a headache from drinking wine, you should still drink wine for the 4 cups. However, this doesn't mean someone who he's going to get sick and have to go to bed because of it. So if drinking wine, bothers you a little bit, you might get a little headache, then you should drink anyway. But if it's going to cause a serious medical condition where you have to go to bed, or perhaps you can't drink wine with medication or something, then you shouldn't be drinking wine. So if you can't drink wine, then you drink grape juice. And for whatever reason you can't drink grape juice, you drink something called Chamer Medina. Chamer Medina is like a social drink, an important drink in the country. So that could be like coffee or tea. Just make sure that you drink it fast enough, because sometimes people don't. We said you have to drink it preferably in a short amount of time, a few gulps, which might be hard if it's hot, or at least within 2 minutes or 9 minutes. So if you have that issue, if you're not able to drink wine or grape juice, please reach out to me, give me a call, send me an email, and we could talk about what the best thing is to do. Okay, l'kayim mitzvahs. Ma she'en kain b'shabbos v'yom tovim yachol lishmor kiddush me'acher. So he says usually somebody who doesn't like wine, every Shabbos or Yom Tov, he doesn't have to make Kiddush. He can listen to somebody else make Kiddush and fulfill his obligation with that. He says, however, when it comes to the 4 cups of wine, you can't fulfill the mitzvah through somebody else, because you yourself have to actually drink the 4 cups. So if drinking the 4 cups just bothers you a little bit, then you should still drink. Arba kosos, v'yachol amazgo heitev, you can mix them. Achein be'inin shi'adayin roy lekiddush, that has to still be fit for Kiddush. That's what we said. You can take raisin wine or Chamer Medina. Now he says you can dilute the wine with water. Now, Rabbi Eider points out that back in the day, the wines that they had, we mentioned this the other day, were very, very strong. And to make it drinkable, you really had to dilute it. But Rabbi Eider points out, if you have his Halachos of Pesach, it's on page 223 if you want to look it up. He points out that many wines in America are already diluted with other things. So if you're going to dilute wine to make it less strong because you don't like that it's too strong, so you have to be careful how much water you put in, because since the wine already comes diluted, you have to be careful how much you put in. If you want to give me a call, we can try to work that out. But you have a lot of wines like Rashi wine that has like 5% alcohol. So if alcohol is disagreeable to you, or you have a low tolerance, then you can, get that type of low alcoholic wine. Okay, Yud Aleph. Mitzvah lachsor acher yayim edom im ein halavan meshubach mimanu. It's a mitzvah to get red wine. So if you have a choice between red wine and white wine, and the red wine is of a finer quality, there's a mitzvah to get the red wine. Yanam dechsiv al ter yayin ki yis adam. Brings a pasuk in Mishlei, verse in Mishlei, Almadah admimos malech vechashivos. From the verse he proves that red wine is considered more important, more chashuv. It's more important, more valuable, it's better than white wine. Va'od zecher l'dam. Also, the red wine is in remembrance of the blood. Shahaya para shecha ben Yisrael. That para would kill the Jewish children. U'makom shemitzuyin. Now he says, u'makom shemitzuyin hagoyim lahali alilos shkarim nimnaim melikach yayin adam. He says places where the Gentiles accuse the Jews of false things, then you shouldn't get red wine. What's he referring to? He's talking about the blood libels. Around Pesach time every year in Europe, the non-Jews would often accuse Jews of this ridiculous, absurd claim of kidnapping Christian children and taking their blood. Disgusting lies which have been spread about Jews for at least about 1,000 years. So you see that halacha, Jewish law, takes it so seriously that if there's any worry of that, thank God in America we really don't have to worry about that so much. You should take white wine instead of red wine, so no one can accuse you of that. I mean, there are unfortunately certain people in America that still believe this type of thing. Even though they know that what they'll say is that, oh yeah, Jews nowadays don't do it, but there used to be groups of Jews that did, which is a total lie and is ridiculous. This was something that was spread amongst Jews, and entire communities were murdered because of this horrible calumny that was made against the Jewish people. So you see, halacha is very careful, saying don't take red wine if there's any fear, God forbid, that someone would make such a ridiculous accusation. In fact, as recently as the early 90s, a woman was interviewed on Oprah who had some mental issues, and she claimed that she was Jewish and she drank non-Jewish baby blood, which Oprah didn't refute her or anything. The woman had mental illness and she had her on her show. So these lies, unfortunately, are still believed by some. But in general, we usually don't have to worry about that. So if you have a choice between red wine and white wine, you should go after red wine. Okay. Yud Beis 12. Yotzin b'yayin mevushal ube konditon. One can fulfill the mitzvah of the 4 cups with yayin mevushal or with konditon. So what's yayin mevushal? Yayin mevushal is wine that was cooked. So much wine in the United States, a lot of it is already cooked to a certain level because it's pasteurized. So it might be mevushal according to some opinions. But mevushal is it's cooked to a certain point where it's not fitting to use for certain services. Because if the wine was touched by certain people, then it can't be used. So if you have a choice between yayin mevushal or non-yayin mevushal, you should get the non-yayin mevushal, the non-cooked wine. And the reason is it's because it's of a higher quality. So he says, Yotzim b'yayin mevushal, u'lechatchila tov yoser likach yayin she'eina mevushal. It's better to take wine that isn't cooked, imosha mevushal tov yoser, unless you can find a mevushal wine which is better. V'chein ki agavna le'inyin konditon, also for konditon. What's konditon? Perish sheme'urav bo dvash upalpulin. It has honey and pepper in it. By Lael seminars. Okay, now, right. So, if also another thing to take into account is if you have people at your seder that if they touch non-mevushal wine, that it might make the wine not kosher. So, for example, if you have somebody who publicly desecrates Shabbos, and doesn't care at Shabbos, we're not talking about somebody who just doesn't keep all of the commandments, and someone who's trying. We're talking about someone who, if the rabbi, the way it was explained to me, if the rabbi was in front of shul, they would drive in front of the rabbi and wouldn't care. They wouldn't even try to drive around the block. So they publicly desecrate Shabbos. Such a person, if they touch non-mevushal wine, it will make it non-kosher. So if you have an eclectic group of people at your seder, it might be just safer to get mevushal wine so you don't have to worry about any of these issues. If you have any questions on the particulars and what type of person it would make an issue if they touch mevushal wine, and where you can get different wine, or anything we've discussed, please reach out to me. You can give me a call, or you can send me an email at shaulrosenthal@gmail.com, and wish everyone a beautiful day.